already discussed about testing of hypothesis using correlation. Today we want to discuss about t-test. How t-test is used to test hypothesis. For that I give some slide to know about the t-test first. What purpose we use t-test, why we use t-test, and when we use t-test, who developed a t-test, all those things we will explain. T-test is nothing but test of significant difference between the two group means. That is why in the slide it is mentioned, a t-test is a type of inferential statistics. There are two types: differential statistics, inferential statistics. Inferential, it is a inferential statistics. It is used to determine if there is any significant difference between the two group means. That is why in a simple way you should understand what purpose we use t-test. T-test is nothing but it is used to test a significant difference between the two group means. Sir, what do you mean by two group means? Say for example, we want to compare the online usage or smartphone addiction with reference to male and female, or with reference to boys and girls, or rural and urban students. That is our aim. The objective of our work, research work, to find out is there any significant difference between the two group means, especially with respect to smartphone addiction based on their gender, that is male and female. Male students, whether the male students have high level of smartphone addiction or the female students have high level. Is there any significant difference between the two group, male and female? Or if you take some other example, rural and urban. That way there are many examples are there. Whenever you want to find out the test of significant difference between the two group means, two group, say for example male and female. In that case, in that condition, you will select only t-test. There are different methods are there to calculate t-test, but today I want to explain how to interpret the t-test and how to find out whether the t-value is significant or not significant, what is meant by significant and what is meant by not significant. From the obtained t-value, what if a hypothesis accepted or rejected, and what is the conclusion you should write or you should arrive from the t-test. These are the things we will discuss today. So, in this t-test is just I give some theoretical information about t-test. The t-test actually was developed by an English statistician, W.S. Gossett, in the year 1908. Actually, W.S. Gossett is working under the teacher R.A. Fisher. So, W.S. Gossett developed. Then the particular researcher want to give respect to the teacher, so that the test name called student t-test. Then shortly it called as a t-test. So, that is called the historical development. That is the development of t-test. So, here how to calculate t-test? There are so many formulas are there. I give one formula. Usually when you mentioned here, many researcher committed mistake. When you mentioned t in your analysis chapter, in your research report, don't use capital T. That is very important, because why I stress this point, many researchers they have used capital T. Capital T is not correct, small t is only correct. When you use ANOVA, you should use capital F ratio. So, here we want to calculate T ratio. There are some formulas. I just give one formula here, that is T is equal to x bar plus mu divided by sigma, that is called sigma square, divided by root of n. What is the abbreviation of these symbols? I mentioned here, x bar is the mean of sample. Whatever the sample you are collecting, sample is nothing but representative of the population. Okay, suppose you want to collect a sample from the example I already mentioned. Suppose you want to find out the smartphone addiction between boys and girls or male and female in a particular age groups, or school final students or college students or university students. Here as a researcher you should focus your research, very important. After fixing the sample, where you want to select the sample, okay, you must know the universe. Universe is nothing but the population, the total, and that is the size. Okay, from that, how many sample you need. For that there are some calculations are there. So using those calculations you have to fix the sample size. After that you go and collect the sample. So in that way, after collecting the sample, based on the formula you should find out the mean value. There are so many methods are there. Say for example sigma x by n. Sigma is nothing but summation of x. Say for example you already calculated average for your school exams mark list, like adding all the 5 subjects divided by 5. That is the mean of the marks obtained by you. Like that, whatever the data you have collected, how many samples you have collected, adding all the things divided by. Okay. Then mu is the assumed mean. To calculate assumed mean, there are some for methods are there, and as well as for standard deviation separate method are there. So here from that formula, another one formula is there. T is equal to x1 bar minus x2 bar. Suppose I already mentioned male and female and their level of smartphone addiction or and their level of usage of social media, or if you want to study some other psychological variable or any quality of work life. Suppose you want to conduct a research in the field of management or in the field of organization behavior, you want to measure, you want to conduct a study related to quality of work life, KWL, among the employees, whether the technical employees have high level of better quality of work life or non-technical employees, or industrial workers mental health, and there are different categories they are working. Which category of employees have better mental health, or which type of employees are affected with mental health, low or high. In that condition, if you classify the sample into 2 groups, here the only one opportunity you should use t-test. With the help of t-test, you are able to test your hypothesis. Okay, here another one formula is that x1 bar minus x2 bar divided by the whole root of n1 minus 1 into sigma 1, that is the standard deviation for the first group. Okay. Then plus 2, n2 is the number of sample in the second group. Say for example, if suppose the sample size for the particular researcher is selecting 18 sample, 8 in boys, 10 in girls. This is called unequal. This is called unequal. But if you take equal size, that is, if suppose you want to conduct one experimental research, you want to say for example physical education. So if you want to do research in the field of physical education, you are giving one training. Say for example kabaddi player, among the kabaddi player you want to improve their speed, agility, quickness, that is called SAQ training. Okay, SAQ training, we short called as SAQ training. Here you should take one control group. That means you don't give any training for that particular group. Another one group you are selecting. That group is called experimental group. Here you should give training for some days, 45 days or 60 days to improve these parameters. After that, after the training, whether the experimental group got any improvement in their performance, in their speed, in their agility, in their quickness, that is based on the SAQ. Then you want to compare between control and experimental. Here you should fix the sample size equal, control group 20, equal group that is experimental group 20. So here is called equal sample. When you want to use equal sample, here one test we use some formulas are there, paired sample t-test. Even in another one category is also there. Suppose if you take the same homogeneous groups, okay, and you want to collect the score in 2 different settings, okay, 2 different settings. Here in that condition you use paired sample t-test. So independent sample t-test means the 2 different groups. That is very important. That is a dependent t-test, independent sample t-test are there. Like that, here x1 bar is the mean of the sample of the first group. Say for example, I mentioned 8 boys. So suppose assume that their scores are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 like that. But how to find out mean? Add all the individual score 10 plus 20 plus 30. Add all the things. Assume that there are some 80 score. 80 total score is 80. Then how many samples in the boys group? Only 8. That is why I mentioned here sigma x by n. So 80 divided by 8. So 10 is the mean of the sample, mean of the first sample. That is why x1 bar. X1 bar. Okay. Then if you use x2 bar, say for example x2 bar, how to find out x2 bar? For example, how to calculate mean value for a particular data, I simply explained here. Assume that the first group, group 1 and group 2, group 1 and group 2. you have measured group 1 and group 2. Okay, in the group 1 you have collected some samples. Okay, the total score is 80. In that group 1 the number of sample is 8. Okay, what is the formula for this? Is called x1 bar. X1, that is how you have to read x1 bar, mean of the first group, mean of the group 1. So sigma x1 divided by n1. How much is sigma x1? 80 divided by 8. Here you get 10. Okay, like that you have to find out x2 bar. X2 bar is nothing but mean of the second group, girls. This is a boys, this is a girl. Because you want to test, is there any significant difference between the two group means? For that I will also explain how to formulate a hypothesis. Okay, here some x2 bar you calculated like that, then mean something you are getting 12 point something 3 like that. And then you have to find out standard deviation. Standard deviation, a lot of formulas are there. Standard deviation for that is this is a symbol sigma, standard deviation. Some formulas are there, root of sigma d square by n, root of sigma d square by n. But nowadays if you want to calculate manually, you should use this formula. But nowadays there are so many ready-made packages are there. For example, familiar package, most of the researchers you are all use that is called SPSS, statistical package for social science research. There are so many other packages are there. In those packages, just you enter into your data using any spreadsheets. Even in the SPSS also editor menu is there. You should enter the collected data. Then based on that objective, based on the hypothesis, you should select any statistical tools. Today we are discussing about t-test. In the t-test in the analysis menu it is there. So you have to go and select independent sample t-test or paired sample t-test, one sample t-test. There are different samples. I will also in the next slide. So like that you just click it and okay, in that they have mentioned a group, okay, and a sample. What is the variable you want to measure? So you have to, if you want to measure smartphone addiction, the smartphone addiction scores you have to enter in one column, and male and female, suppose you want to, then you have to put a gender, we call it as a gender. Okay, male is considered as 1 and this is called a calling. So here you should not enter MF, because many of the research they have committed mistake. So if you want to add, if you want to enter data, that is a numerical quantity only allowed for statistical calculation. That is why measurement, qualitative data converted into quantitative data. This is the process is called measurement. So you should consider coding, that we call as coding. So consider male as 1, then female as 2, like that. Clear? So in the Excel format or spreadsheet, one column you should that is a gender, another one smartphone addiction, you call it as a SA. Here you should measure 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. What mean by 1? 1 is nothing but male, 2 is nothing but the female. What about the first respondent score? 20, 30, 14, 15, 16, like that you have to enter the data in the Excel format. This is the method. After that you have to select the analysis menu, in that the menu displayed, and in that you have to select dependent SA score and the grouping variable. Grouping you have to select and you have to fix the value 1, 2. Then you click OK. Okay. After that you will get a result like this. I will show the result. Yes, this is the way. This is an output of SPSS. This is an output of SPSS. Okay, is the actual output you are getting. Here I mentioned gender 1. Gender 1 means male, 2 means female. 2 means female. I mentioned here 1 and 2. Okay, 1 means male, 2 means female. Here in that example, in the table, the researcher measured stethoscoping skill. Is there any significant difference between male and female and their level of stethoscoping skill? What do you mean by stethoscoping skill? How you should manage your stress. How you manage your stress. Because every human beings we are facing stress. Stress is relieved from death only. You should face stress if you want to achieve something in your life. Okay, this is very important. Nowadays, what people are coming and enrolling their research, are coming and enrolling their PG, they just they want to complete the research report or submit their PG report for their namesake. No, that is not correct. We have already discussed in the research made easy video. I already mentioned that. You have to put your eyes on your head first. That is called interest, commitment, enthusiasm. Being a student or a scholar, if you want to achieve something in your life, you should create interest on yourself. That is interest, and you should commit. You should be a committed person, and you should develop your enthusiasm. Even in the research, you should every research must have aim. That is called aim of the research. Like that, as a researcher, as a student, you should also have some kind of aim. That is the attitude. You should create a positive attitude about your life first. Yes, I am capable, I am able, I will able to achieve, I can. Like that, you will first develop yourself positive attitude. That is very important. You should also have some aim in your life. Yes, I want to attain this goal. I want to reach this particular position. After getting the degree, I want to shine in this way. I want to earn. I want to earn 5-digit figure salary. Like that. Even sometimes when you are studying, you should live in the dark. That is your parents or your family, a very low economic status. But after you start your life, definitely the entire family will shine very colorfully. That way you will move to bright. இருட்டிலிருந்து வெளிச்சத்துக்கு வருவது அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறது. படிக்கும்போது கஷ்டப்படுவீங்க. விவசாய குடும்பத்துலேருந்து வந்து படிப்பீங்க, அப்பா அம்மா கூலி வேலை பார்ப்பாங்க, அதெல்லாம் உணரணும். அதாவது படிக்க வரும்போது ஒரு மாணவிகளை ஒரு ஆராய்ச்சியாளர்களாக அதை உணரணும். யூ ஷுட் ரியலைஸ் த இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் ஆஃப் யுவர் லைஃப். யூ ஷுட் ஃபிக்ஸ் இட். யூ ஷுட் செட் யுவர் கோல். த கோல் ஷுட் பி இன் ஸ்மார்ட், specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time bounded. Because I am from psychology department. That is why apart from the research, these are also I want to tell for the young generations. Because you should take responsibility of your life. Self-regulation behavior. Because nowadays you are all more and more usage of mobile phone. Daily at least 4 hours, 5 hours. But what purpose you all use mobile phone? Whether it is used for your future development or you want to learn, that is very important. Simply sending messages and spending time in an unprotective manner. பயனற்றவாறு பயன்படுத்துறது, அதில் போய் அடிக்ட். That is called a smartphone addiction. That will create a lot of psychological problems. That will affect your mental health and physical health. Very dangerous. So nowadays, that is why as we are the psychologists, we will take some research in the form of in other area called digital well-being. Now the psychology researchers, they are focused on this particular area called digital well-being. Digital well-being. Because there are so many apps are there. Even Google, they have also introduced Google digital well-being. Application packages are there. Because now the machines will try to control the man, human beings. Because we are losing our self-control. So we are losing our நம்மளுடைய சுய கட்டுப்பாட்டை இழந்துட்டோம். அதனால் என்ன இயந்திரங்கள் மனிதர்களை கட்டுப்படுத்தக்கூடிய காலங்கள் வந்துவிட்டோம். நம்மளுடைய சுய கட்டுப்பாடு போயிடுச்சு. ஸோ அப்போ சுய கட்டுப்பாடு தேவை. செல்ஃப் ரெகுலேட்டட் பிஹேவியர் இஸ் வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். செல்ஃப் கண்ட்ரோல் இஸ் வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். when you come and study something PG or research, you maximum level you should put your effort, and daily you have to practice and effort to make success. I already mentioned P into E is equal to success. You will get everything in your life. Definitely you will get it everything. Even don't say, sir, I am not able to read, sir, I am not able to understand. Well, try many times, 2 times, 3 times, or you go and discuss with your guides or discuss with your friends who are already studied, seniors, collect information. That is, here information seeking behavior is very important. That is called ISP, information seeking behavior. That for that you should have some kind of interest. That is why attitude, interest, motivation. However, in the research must have some aim. That is called aim of research. Like that, as a human being, we should have some aim. That is attitude, interest, motivation. Interest is very important. ஆர்வம் இருக்கணும், motivation இருக்கணும். Then only you will able to give a quality research. Quality research, because outside they are giving more important for your research project. When you go for a job, they will immediately ask question, what type of project you completed, what is your research rate. In that case, if your research problem is a unique one, is a new one, it is relevant to social contribution, the outcome of your research work is useful to society, or useful to some industry, or useful to solve some other problem, definitely they will give job immediately. That way you have to create interest before to select a research problem. That is why I already mentioned in the previous previous videos. So, how to select research problem. So, if you really show interest, definitely you will try to learn these things. That is why, as we are the faculty members, we are taking effort, because especially from our Annamalai University, we are taking a lot of effort to improve the quality of education. Because in Annamalai University, all infrastructures are there. All infrastructures are there. So, the teachers are also, we are also really to sacrifice everything for the development of the students. So, if you come and approach, you will definitely, no need to say, sir, you are from cycle. No, all are my students, all are my research scholars. From any discipline, you have to come and approach from us. So, here learning, knowledge is shareable. Sometimes, once if we guide your work, we will learn from you. So, here we will say mutually, we have to sit and discuss. You have to bring your key articles. If both of you sit and read, we will get all the ideas. So, in that way, you also show you should take interest. That is very important. So, here when you take stress coping skill I mentioned, during that time you will face some kind of level of stress, but you should try to manage the stress. Unless otherwise your intelligence will be blocked, your anxiety you will get, so it will affect your performance and it will affect your physical and mental health. That is why you should manage your stress. Here the researcher is try to understand, is there any significant difference between boys and girls or male and female respondents in the level of stress coping skill. After collecting the data using SPSS package, the researcher analyzes the data. So, how the result, what the screen output you are getting in the screen, that the slide I just displayed to you all. So, how to interpret, how to form a table, because this is most of the researcher again, just like whatever the result, whatever the output is getting from the SPSS package, they simply copy this one, that is called cut and copy paste. They simply copy this one and paste it in the Word format and prepare their analysis chapter, 4th chapter, result and discussion. Usually there are 5 chapters are there: introduction and review of literature, methodology, research methodology, and analysis and interpretation. That is called result and discussion. Okay, whatever the result you are getting, you should present everything in the form of table. Below the table you should give explanation, that is called interpretation. From that you should write inference, what is the findings. So, from the analysis chapter or result and discussion 4th chapter, you should write the final chapter finding. Based on the finding, you should give some suggestion. Being a researcher, being a PhD student, so after completing your research, you should do something, that is called implication. Just like finding, after that you will stop, that is not research. So, based on your knowledge or discussion with your guides or experts, then both of you sit together and find out. Give something that is in the form of suggestion or in the form of implication. Yes, to manage the stress, at least you should practice meditation, or you should apply your own cognition, try to think, control your thought process. Like that you should give, or you should do some physical exercise like walking, or you should do some gardening, or listening music. These are the various methods to manage your stress. மன அழுத்தம் சொல்கிறோம் எல்லாரும். மன அழுத்தத்தை எப்படி போக்குறது? மன அழுத்தம் இருக்குதுன்னு கண்டுபிடிச்சிடுறீங்க, அந்த மன அழுத்தத்தை எப்படி கையாள்வது, எப்படி போக்குவதுங்கிறத நம்ம இம்ப்ளிகேஷன் கொடுக்கணும். இதே மாதிரி என்னென்ன செய்யலாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு, இதுதான் ஒரு ஆராய்ச்சி. ஸோ அப்போ எதையாவது நம்ம முடித்த பிறகு ஃபைண்டிங்ஸு, ஆஃப்டர் கம்ப்ளீட்டிங் அவர் ஃபைண்டிங்ஸ், தென் வி வில் கிவ் சம் இம்ப்ளிகேஷன். ஸோ ஹியர் த ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் கோப்பிங் skills are measured, then one is a male and 2 is a female. Number of samples they are taken, 436 and 85, and the calculated mean I already explained using the formula manually, but nowadays in computer it is not necessary. All the packages they have calculated, all the everything, the computer will take responsibility, that also you are free from that one. So, because it is a ready-made available packages, once you enter select menu you will get it. But the thing is, as a scholar, as a student, you should know how to interpret. That is very important, how to interpret, because without knowing that you will not able to understand, you will not able to, because nowadays what again the researchers are all doing, so they all go and approach, someone will help, then simply submit, they will act as a postman. No, that is not correct. After that your degree will not help you, to get a job. That is why you should try to sell yourself. That means after getting your PhD degree or UG degree or PhD or MPhil, you should check, evaluate yourself whether you are really qualified for that one, whether you have acquired knowledge or not. Simply degree is not enough to get a job. Okay, nowadays especially knowledge era. We are living in the era of knowledge. Wherever, that is why ask. What do you mean by ask? ASK. What do you mean by ask? Attitude, skill, knowledge. They don't ask anything to give a job. They will ask only ask. Attitude, skill, knowledge. Attitude, skill, knowledge. These three things they are asking. If we have these three, attitude, skill, knowledge, definitely you will get a very good position, very good life. Whatever the life you want to lead, you should have a dream about your life. All whatever you want, everything is possible. Everything is possible in this world. There are a lot of examples are there. Lot of examples, live examples are there. So you should think about all those things. Attitude, skill, knowledge. So knowledge is very important. So that only we are all putting this type of video. So you want to, whenever you are free time, you have to watch this video. Self-learning. This is the technology advancement. Those days, these type of facilities are there. Facilities are not there. But now Annamalai University is providing all these facilities. See that? We have a separate electronic multimedia center. So through that, the teachers are educational multimedia center. That is called educational multimedia center. So through that, our faculty members they are all preparing, coming and putting various type of slides. As students, you have to enter into our website or through some YouTube channel. You are able to download everything, and you should sit in front of that. And you have to spend time for this purpose. For this purpose, you should use your mobile, data on mobile. Self-learning is very important. This advanced technology will help you to learn on your own. That is why in a simple way, now I explained here, I should explain it here. So here the mean value 161, 164, standard deviation, standard error. Okay. Then what is the next table? Here equal variance assumed, equal variance not assumed. You are able to find out from this table. What is equal variance? I already mentioned. Both group have same sample size, 10, 10. What is unequal variance? Equal variance not assumed, 8 boys, 12 girls. Suppose if you collect the sample like that, 8 boys, 12 girls, unequal sum. Here we should select that t value only. Don't worry about the minus sign. Here 1.382. 1.382. And how you should find out whether it is significant or not significant. Here the another one, degrees of freedom, don't bother about that one. SIG, that is called a significant value. That is called a p value, probability value. Here also I should give a shortcut method to understand whether the calculated value is significant or not significant. What is meant by significant? What is not significant? That also I will explain here. Okay. Say for example, I will explain that here. So actually in the previous slide, see that here that p value is 0.170. Okay, p value is 0.170. The obtained p value is 0.170. This is called p value, probability value or significant value. This is a value for your data, you get it, called calculated value. Calculated value. But there are some rules are there to test the level of significance. There are different types of different level of significance is there. That is shortly we called as LS. Here usually we have selected 0.05. That is called a 5% level of significance. And another one 0.01. This is called 1% level of significance. Then the next one 0.001. This is very highly precious because the research appreciates and accuracy. Both are very important. Okay, very important. That is why I already mentioned your result should be very accuracy. Then only your research should be a quality one, good research. Okay, so there are 3 level of significance generally we will consider. But social science researcher like from psychology, education or from physical education, some arts and science, arts, those people they are all allowed to take 5% level because there are so many uncontrollable factors are there. Because most of the research they are all collecting data from the outside, that is environment, from the field or survey. But when you have to take research in the field of science, physics, chemistry or microbiology or biotechnology or engineering, you are all doing a research based on your apparatus. laboratory control. So controlled factors are there. So here the level of significance more accuracy 1% level. So that you are all allowed to take 0.01 or 0.00. Very simple method. First you understand this. This is a standard. 3 level of significance you have to test. Here if you take the calculated value, whatever the calculated value, here is a very simple max. You already studied in your school. So here you are getting the result is 0.170. Whether it is greater than or less than these values. Maximum you have to test at a 5% level first. So here whether it is a greater than or less than, you should check it. Okay, but here the 0.170 is greater than 0.05. Greater than, that is called greater than. This is called greater than. 0.05 விட அதிகமாக இருக்கு. Greater than 0.05 விட அதிகமாக இருக்கு. Greater than 0.05. That indicate not significant. Not significant. That we called as, shortly we called as NS. Not significant. 0.05 விட அதிகமாக இருக்கு. 0.1 greater than 0.05. It is not significant. Sir, if I get the result, say for example in the another one slide. Yes, in this slide here they have considered 2 groups. They are collecting data, the same variables, stress scoping skill, but they are collecting data from the organization. Those who want to do research in the field of management or commerce or some other discipline. Junior engineer, assistant engineer, they are selecting sample from the engineers category. Junior engineer, they want to test whether the junior engineers have high level of stress scoping skill or assistant engineers have high level of scoping skill. Here they are considered 2 groups. Their aim, they want to test the significant difference between the 2 group means. That is why I already mentioned T test is nothing but test of significant difference between the 2 group means. Here they are considered only 2 groups, junior engineer and assistant engineer. They go and collect the sample from those population, from those samples using some standard questionnaire or some other method, stress scoping skill. They have collected the data, entered into the software. After that, the mean value they are getting. These are all called obtained mean value. What we call it, these are all called obtained mean value and the standard deviation. See, another one shortcut method I will give to you, whether it is significant. Sir, if it is significant, how the mean value? The mean, that is, there are wide difference. There are a lot of difference between the 2 mean score. Say for example, 163, 159. The mean difference is very high. The mean that we called mean difference. The mean difference, if the mean difference is very high, definitely the calculated t value is significant. That is, the calculated t value is definitely greater than the critical value. What is critical value? 1.96. The standard value of t test, critical value, standard value, that is a table value 1.9. See that in this slide, this is the actual format. You should form a table. In the previous slide, we have discussed what the actual output you are getting from the SPSS. But don't paste the output what you are getting from the SPSS as it is in your dissertation. That is not correct. You should form a table in that format, and you should give a heading for the table also. And below the table you should mention whether you are using primary data or secondary data. Primary data is nothing but fresh data. You should go and collect. Secondary data is already available data. Here you should give the title table 1 showing mean SD, S dot D, standard deviation, capital letter, and a t value for respondents level of stress scoping skill on the basis of designation. Then here you should mention here the mean value, standard deviation, and see the t value and the p value 0.001. Okay, when you take another one here 0.11 in this slide, that is why it is mentioned here not significant, because this p value is greater than 0.05. But this in this table, see this table, in this table the p value is less than 0.05, even less than 0.01. That is why I mentioned 3 level of significance you should consider. So you should, very simple, whatever, it is not applicable only for t test. It will be applicable for chi-square, correlation, ANOVA, regression, whatever. So all the statistical tools, you will get the significant value, that is called p value. You should consider only, you have to check the obtained p value is greater than or less than. If it is greater than 0.05, then it is called not significant. Not significant means here, okay, not significant means here you should accept null hypothesis. Null hypothesis. Accept null hypothesis, not significant. Okay, then reject alternative hypothesis. Because here the p value is greater than 0.05. Your value is 0.17 something. So here null hypothesis accepted, alternate hypothesis rejected. What do you mean by that? Junior engineers and assistant engineers both have equal level of stress coping skill. Junior engineer and assistant engineers both have equal level of stress coping skill. That is called a stress coping skill. Okay, shortly called as SC, stress coping skill. Clear or not? Junior engineer and assistant engineer both have same. Okay, suppose if we formulate the hypothesis like that, there is no significant difference in respondents' level of stress coping skill based on their designation, or junior engineer and assistant engineers have same level of stress coping skill when you formulate a hypothesis. Because as a researcher you should formulate a hypothesis, then you have to test the hypothesis. For that only, based on the hypothesis you should select t-test. Now today we are discussing about t-test. If your p value here, when you consider the t value definitely lesser than 1.96, less than 1.96, sure, less than 1. T value very less. So here not significant, that is called not significant, null hypothesis accepted, alternate hypothesis rejected. What is the conclusion you should give? Junior engineer and assistant engineer have same level of stress coping skill, like that. Suppose assume that you have calculated t value based on our previous example 2.3 something, and your p value is 0.001 or 0.03, like that. So when you consider these values are less than or equal to 0.05, less than 0.05 விட கம்மியா இருக்கு p value. This is your value, calculated value. This is a standard. So here the standard value also, that is a calculated value. This is called a calculated t value. Okay, is a greater than 1.96, greater than 1.96, greater than 1.96. Your obtained value. This is called obtained value. 2.3 for your data. You calculated it based on some packages, using some packages. You will get the result. But this is a critical value, that is a table value 1.96, irrespective of the sample size. And if you want to compare based on the p value, if you want to test the hypothesis, this is one method. Your p value is less than or equal to 0.05. This in that is called, it is called significant. This is called a significant. What do you mean by significant? Here alternate hypothesis accepted. Alternate hypothesis accepted. Null hypothesis rejected. Null hypothesis rejected. What is the conclusion here? HA is accepted means whether the junior engineer have high level of stress coping skill when compared with the assistant engineer, or assistant engineer have high level of stress coping skill when compared with the junior engineer. If you take the previous one example, smartphone addiction compared with the boys and girls, assume that if you take, so here boy considers B and girls. Okay, you want to test their smartphone addiction, that is called a smartphone addiction. Smartphone addiction. Okay, so here you want to test this one. Assume that your calculator value is here, okay, 2.7 like that. Your p value is 0.0, okay, 0.2 like that. Here or not? Here when you consider this p value, definitely this is a less than or less than 0.05. Less than 0.05. Okay, this is called a significant. Yes, significant means what? Whether the boys have high level of smartphone addiction when compared with the girls, or girls have high level of smartphone addiction when compared with the boys. When you go and consider the mean value, definitely boys group obtained a mean value of, say for example 40.7, girls obtained a mean value of 20.6, like that. So what do you infer from that? If it is a significant, to interpret your result, you will go for, you have to consider the mean value. So based on the mean value and the scoring norm, so assume that here the boys obtained a mean score of 40.7, girls obtained 20.6. Which one is highest value? 40.7. So, boys have high level of smartphone addiction. So, or otherwise suppose if you consider the t value is 0.98, the p value is 0.23, this is greater than 0.05. When you consider the boys, their mean score is 23.4, girls mean score is also 23.1. Assume that here this is called a mean value, mean score. Here the boys and girls, they obtained equal mean. That is why the t value is very less. This is a what you call it, less than 1.96, and the p value is greater than 0.05. This is called a not significant. This is called a not significant. Not significant means what? Boys and girls have same level of smartphone usage or smartphone addiction. Okay, they have same level. So, you should write the findings. Boys and girls have same level of smartphone addiction, or they do not differ significantly in their level of usage of smartphone or in their level of mental health. Both have better mental health because they are all used very less time in smartphone. Clear? Like that you have to interpret and writing the result. These are the method you should test the hypothesis. Here, which hypothesis is accepted in this particular not significant? In the not significant, I already mentioned null hypothesis accepted. Alternative means HA is rejected. Okay, this is the final conclusion. So, what we have discussed so far? Very simple method. If you want to test the significant difference between the two group means, you should select a t-test. Okay, and you calculate the t value. If the calculated t value is greater than or less than 1.96, that is one method. Otherwise, if you want to consider the p value, if it is greater than 0.05 or less than 0.05, okay, you should consider. Based on that, you will test the hypothesis. Very simple method, and also give some theoretical information about the t-test and various types of t-tests. I already mentioned, one sample, two sample t-test, paired t-test. Okay, these are all formulas are there and meaning of t-test. I think you will get some idea about a t-test. You all enjoy the first 1 hour. I think you all enjoyed the session for the last 1 hour. Definitely, I hope that definitely this video is very useful for you. It will give a complete idea, complete picture about the testing of significant difference between the two group means, that is using t-test. So, we will see in the some other next session. Thank you.